Hey, how goes it, cliffsthingers? Welcome back to another MBTI video. Today, I really want to continue this conversation about MBTI and the Big Five, and what I think about all this, and what kind of things that I've been thinking about with the MBTI and the Big Five. Okay. I really want to say that I still believe that the MBTI is highly reliable. The reason why I believe that the MBTI is still highly reliable is because I looked a bit deeper into what MBTI has to say about their reliability. I looked at the actual website. I went to mbti.org or .com. There's going to be a link somewhere here to the actual page. And I looked at, there's a specific section in the MBTI website that talks about the reliability. And the claim is that MBTI is, first of all, explains what reliability is, and it does have claims on the site about how it is reliable. It has been worked on for multiple years since its inception, and it has been added on, it has been worked with, it's adding and considering new research continuously into the present. It also claims that 75% to 90% of the people test the same personality type the second time, with a variation of maybe a letter or two. So we can say that this is quite reliable, that MBTI is something that we can consider seriously. Which made me ask the question, why are there so many people, maybe not so many people, but why are there people making bold claims on the internet that the MBTI is archaic and completely meaningless? I am trying to not be biased about this. I can be ready to leave the MBTI tomorrow if I wanted to. If I really felt that there was enough information to sway me the other way and feel like MBTI is completely just useless, I will leave it. I don't have an emotional attachment to it. However, I want to be sure that I'm getting the right information. That being said, I really thought about this a bit deeper after I asked these previous questions. I thought about, well, the MBTI has served my life in such a positive way. Anecdotally, I can say that the MBTI has done so much for me in understanding my own personality type and understanding other personality types. So to say that the MBTI is kind of like cold reading, it's kind of like fortune tellers, what they do if you like go to the fair and there's like a fortune teller, is like they claim that it's like the Barnum effect, where you basically say things and you say to somebody an overarching kind of like you talk about things that apply to everybody. You're saying things that apply to everybody, and it makes you feel like, oh wow, how does this person know that I am this or that I like to eat corn for dinner? It's something that the MBTI deniers or the MBTI haters kind of just don't kind of use this as their argument of like, well, you can say that the MBTI has descriptions of these personality types that apply to a lot of people. It applies to everybody. Each personality type, there's something in there that applies to everybody. However, when I personally, if I personally go to the descriptions of MBTI personality types, which even though there's variations of those descriptions in different websites, I can see that there are common grounds when it comes to describing a certain personality types. There's common grounds when they describe what an INFJ is. When I read that page of a description of an INFJ, and I'm saying, how do you know me so well? This is what I experienced when I first looked at the description for the INFJ, is that how do they know me so well? And I've never experienced anything like that before. And you say, well, there's descriptions on the INFJ that fit for everybody. Like everybody is kind of thinks about life and is philosophical, but you don't understand, like, this is something that I experience every waking moment of my life. Whereas if I go to a description of an ISTJ, where it's like, or an ESTP, where their personality type is all about do, what's happening right here, right now, what can I fix, what am I thinking about. I'm not emotional, I'm not sensitive. The ESTP personality type does have a very different description than an INFJ. And so when I read an ESTP personality type, I don't think that's me at all. So, well, does the Barnum effect or the Forer effect, does that apply to me when it comes to the personality descriptions of an ESTP? Probably not. It doesn't. It just does not, because I read it and I'm like, that's not me. I'm here to say in this video on the record that I am not going to let go of the MBTI in the foreseeable future. In my last video, which I'll link somewhere here or down below, I did talk about how it was kind of like I was implying that maybe this is something that I might not even think about anymore. I might not even consider anymore. Like MBTI is like, see you later. But it really is not that like that for me. I really do still take the MBTI very seriously. I also still consider myself an INFJ. I really do. Am I attached to this personality description? Not so much as I was before, because I've learned that the downside of the MBTI is that with these letter descriptions, we all are put in boxes. And I think this is an issue with a lot of people, is that they don't like the idea of the MBTI putting them in neatly fit boxes, especially the P types, especially the perceiving types, where they don't really want to be defined in that way. And I understand. Whereas us judging types might be comfortable with the idea of being categorized into neatly fit boxes, like, the 16 personality types. But I, though, know that with, again, with the MBTI, I learned that, hey, I cannot be so leaning towards or so attached to a way of thinking, that I should be able to look at the other perspective, right? If I'm a judger, I should be able to look at a perceiver and see why a perceiver might have advantages in life because of their predispositions. Whereas like I, as an INFJ, as a J type, I'll have certain advantages and disadvantages to having that perspective of thinking or doing or cognitive analysis, etc., etc. This is still an ongoing thing for me. I'm still researching the Big Five, and I'm going to probably take another or a couple more Big Five personality type tests just to get a better feel of what this is, because it's all very new to me. Maybe I'll look up on Amazon for a book on Big Five. I am really curious. I'm always curious about personality tests, and I don't want to write this off. And I don't think anybody who watches this video should write it off. I think we should all look into it and understand it, because any information, any study about personality type is going to be helpful. I think that if our goal is to understand personality types, ourselves and other people better, what is probably what drew us to MBTI in the first place, we should be open to anything that is a legitimate theory about personality. But the Big Five does have a much better foundation. I will admit that. So, guys, let's not be attached to our MBTI identities. Sure, we will have an understanding that we are leaning towards this personality types that we are described. Like if we're assigned the letters ENTP or ESFP, whatever it is, then this is the personality type that we are associated with. But we don't have to be attached to it. I think the issue nowadays is when we have an identity, we are given an identity, the MBTI gives us a very specific identity, we find ourselves being attached to it, and that has a lot to say about our ego, I believe. When we attach ourselves to an ego or to our personality type, we're basically having our self-esteem being attached to it. If our personality type is hyped, then we feel much better about ourselves. And if it's not hyped, then we feel not so good about ourselves. So we need to really not be so attached to these MBTI personality types. It is very interesting. It is very fun. I know that it is something that we I think that is such a great thing, because it's finally given us a clear-cut identity, especially for us INFJs and maybe like the other intuitive types. However, I really do think that it's healthier when we don't really super focus and if we don't attach ourselves completely to this identity. Guys, I hope this really makes sense. I just want people to learn about themselves. That's really it, which is why I'm going on this little bit of a sidetrack here. I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent because I really want to see if the origins of the MBTI can be discredited, because if they can be, if it's just completely sketchy, then I'm willing to let it go. However, there's just too many things in my life where I have applied the MBTI and it has helped me tremendously. And I personally had so much experience with understanding people with the MBTI that it really is something that I don't think I will ever, I don't think we'll let go anytime soon in the future. All right, I hope this helps. I will catch you in the next video. Thank you for watching. See ya.